Welcome to this episode of the Gearbox Podcast. Now, as a shop owner myself, I know how challenging it can be to juggle the daily tasks of running a successful repair shop. Between managing customers, keeping up with repairs, and staying on top of payments, it can feel like there are just not enough hours in the day, especially now that the holidays are coming up. That's why I want to tell you about Shop Boss. It's the ultimate solution for automotive shop management, designed by industry experts who truly understand our challenges. In fact, the founder was a former shop owner himself. Shop Boss is incredibly user-friendly, so it's easy to set up, learn, and train your team. And the payment options, they've got everything covered. Text to pay, PayPal, Venmo, consumer financing, and even surcharging. It's all embedded seamlessly with Boss Pay powered by 360 payments. No more bouncing between different systems. It's all built right in. To learn more about what Shop Boss can do for your business, visit this custom link for Gearbox listeners. shopboss.net/Gearbox, shopboss.net/Gearbox. And if you didn't hear me the first two times, that's shopboss.net/Gearbox. Or simply touch the link in the show notes. Welcome to the Gearbox Podcast. I'm your host, Jimmy Purdy. On this podcast, we're not just exploring the latest trends and technologies in the automotive industry, we're also getting real about the journey. Yes, the bumpy road of mistakes and lessons learned hard along the way. This is the Gearbox Podcast. Well, I appreciate you taking time. I know you're a busy guy.
Yeah, I'm no different than anybody else.
Other than, everything else, but that's okay.
Yeah, I'm just a normal guy, just doing normal shop owner stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
So,
well, I haven't had a chance to meet you before, but I mean, I guess know you from the Facebook group.
Yep. Yeah. How long have you been in?
About almost a year now.
Okay. All right. So we're coming up on 10 years, I think, is when it started.
That's gotta be crazy to look back on that, huh?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Never in a million years did I ever think it would be what it is now.
Yeah.
I was a desperate shop owner looking for answers to questions that I couldn't find anywhere else. So,
and for those not in the know, the ASOG group, Automotive Shop Owners Group, on Facebook. You're the man. The man in charge.
Well, yeah, I got a really good team running it. I've kind of stepped back a little bit from the day-to-day operation of it. It gets to be a lot.
I could see that.
Because in addition to the Facebook group, I mean, it's turned in we've developed into a 501c3 nonprofit, educational foundation. So that that is a little bit of a part-time job there too.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah, and I'm still trying to keep my shop going, and I'm a city councilman and on the chamber board and advisory board for high school tech, auto info stuff, and
industry partner, I think they call it, or what?
Yeah. And then at the technical college level also. So yeah, got a few things going on.
Sounds like the slippery slope that I'm making my way down as well. You get a little bit of spare time, and you're like, I got time for this, and then everything else kind of goes to shit for a minute, and you're like, why do I have all these irons in the fire right now? This is a little bit much.
I retired as a scout leader. I was a leader for the Boy Scouts, and then when they allowed girls in too, I did that. My daughter was one of the first female Eagle Scouts, and so I had almost 15 years in as a scout leader locally and at the district level, and I retired, and then they dragged me back in to help with training. So I'm part of a training course that's kicking off this spring, so I'm going to be busy with that. So
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, just never a dull moment.
I don't think there can be though, right? I mean, just like you were just talking about working on your motorcycles, like you just got to like be busy, right? Like I feel like that's the problem.
Yeah. I very rarely will I be that guy that just shuts down and just sits down and reads, or if I do, my wife is always like, "Are you sure you're okay?" We went on a cruise, and I just sat next to the pool on the boat for days, and she's like, "Are you sure you're okay?" I'm like, "Well, you know what? There's nothing else for me to do. I'm going to take advantage of it.
I'm going stir crazy. I'm just going to sit here, read a book, or if you're hurt, you hurt your leg, or The last time I read a few books was I got poison oak real bad, and I couldn't,
Mm,
you know. So I was like, that's the only time I stop and I can actually sit down for a little bit.
yeah, yeah, exactly. You're forced to do it.
Well, I'm really curious about the ASOG group. I mean, that's I mean, you're kind of a pioneer, and now it seems to be, there's groups all over Facebook for pretty much everything from transmission
Hmm. Hmm.
specialty to, I mean, whatever it tickles your fancy, right? Like you could find a group
Yeah.
that like supports that. But I mean, you're a pioneer when it came to that.
Well, when I started, it was so I'd actually been looking for something like that, and there was a group, and I don't remember what it was called, but I remember, seeing that it was available, and I requested to join, and never got a response, and it went on for a long time, and I noticed that there was no activity going on with the group, so I don't know what happened, with it, if the guy just abandoned it, if he died, I really don't know. But what got me was was having an issue with a client one day, and she was giving me the runaround on some stuff, and I didn't know exactly how to handle it. I was, still, I've been in business almost 20 years, so about half, maybe 10 years or 8 years of business. I was getting frustrated with this issue with her, and so I actually called the coaching company that I used to work with and asked them if I could ask them a question. I wasn't a current client, and they said, "Well, you sign back up. We'll answer all your questions." I thought, well, that was kind of crappy. That's I gave you, how many thousands of dollars, and you can't answer, one question for me. So,
Right.
so I posed the question in, I don't know, it was like, professional auto technicians or one of the Facebook groups. I don't remember which one it was. And when I got the answer, when I got a whole bunch of answers, there was a bunch of them that I could tell were from um, shop owners, service advisors, stuff like that. And I could tell there was a bunch from technicians. And I realized that technicians didn't have an understanding of what the business side of was really like, because their answers were clearly, well, just tell her to go pound sand and, whatever. It's not that easy. You got to maintain a little bit of diplomacy here,
Right.
and so, but there was a bunch of shop owners that provided me some good information. So I thought, well, what the heck? So I just put on there, I said, hey, if anybody's interested in talking about shop ownership and management type stuff, come join my group. I mean, it was in the same thread that night, and I joined the group, or I created the group, and by the end of the night, I had half a dozen shops, and the next day, I had 100 people want to join, and it kind of took off like wildfire after that, and it's grown into it is currently the largest social media group for independent shop owners in the world. So
It's quite a powerful tool.
yeah, I know it's not perfect, and I don't mean it to be perfect. It's a place for people to get together, network, uh, commiserate, and grow.
Yeah.
Anybody that says, well, it's a um, there's too much whining and this and that. That's really the way the world is.
Yeah.
Why do you want it to be all, you know, upbeat and roses? You got to
If
share
we
your
don't have something to
struggles.
whine about, then there'd be no reason to have the group, right? I mean, we're looking for
Exactly.
answers for things that
Yeah,
are pain points,
exactly.
and you
Yeah,
whine when you're in pain. So yeah, it goes hand in hand.
exactly. Yeah, yeah. So that's what happened, and um, I got a really good team, moderators that keep it civil, and or maintain civility, and approve the members as they applied, so we don't have um, people coming in with ulterior motives, trying to what's the word I'm at? Trying to
Undermine.
prey on.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't want to grab. Uh, we don't want people being preyed upon. If somebody in the group says something, hey, I'm having a problem with this and this and this. Well, we don't want I'll say a business coach to go, oh, look at that. I'll PM them on the backside, and I'll get some business out of them.
Yeah.
We don't want this to just be a, a free for all to prey on the weak.
Right.
This way, we can give them the help they need, and then they can find the move on if they want to hire a coach or something. That's kind of what we do with our mastermind program, which is a peer-to-peer mentoring program that we do right now. I think we've got probably 20 shops that we're doing completely free mentoring for every Monday night.
Yeah, that's so powerful, and I think that kind of brings up like I don't know what you call it, the pain point for some of the coaching companies, right? So they say,
Hmm.
oh, you're giving away all the information. And it's the same thing with all the influencers, video influencers on YouTube, Paul Danner and those guys that are
Hmm.
putting this information out, and the technicians like, hey, you're giving away all our secrets. And it's like the ASOG group, Changing the Industry group, like all these groups are like giving away this free information in quotes, right? And so then
Hmm.
some of these coaching companies are like, oh, you're giving away all our secrets. Like I don't
There's no
there's no
secrets.
secrets, right? Like, and
No.
I think it's missed, and it's always missed on that because that's not the point.
Hmm. So I
I
I
think it would
actually
probably
talked
bring in
to
more business, right?
yeah, I talked to a couple different coaches about that because we've got some pretty good support through coaching companies. I'll use Rick White with 180 Biz,
Right.
Cecil Bullard with the
Hmm.
Institute. Just off the top of my head. And I've had conversations with them that do you feel that we're hurting the coaching industry? And they've said no, it's actually been better for them because you think, well, get the young struggling shop owner in, and you can get them dialed in relatively quickly, and that's not the case because there's a lot of pushback as a shop owner when you start getting going into coaching. You don't want to charge appropriately. You don't want to make changes. You're too uncomfortable. You're too scared, and the coaches are constantly having to grind away at them to make the changes. What we've been doing by through ASOG and through the mastermind program, we actually get them uh, to the point where they've done all that uncomfortable soul searching, and they're seeing the results. Then when they go to a coach, it's easier for the coach because they're like, all right, now we're going to get you dialed in,
Hmm.
so you're doing things great. And the coaches actually like that because we've effectively done we've done all the kindergarten for them. They've all learned their KPIs and everything, their colors, their numbers, their alphabet and
Yeah.
all that stuff in kindergarten.
Hmm.
And now they're in first grade and they're actually starting to apply all those things
Yeah, they can get right to the
that they learned.
meat and potatoes, right?
Yeah,
And to like
yeah, they don't
like
have
convince the whole concept of like, look, if you
no,
want to pay for this program, you need to charge more, right? Like,
yeah,
and I hate that like, oh, you just get a coach because all they're going to tell you is to up your labor rate. Like, well, you're not wrong, but you're probably not charging enough, also.
yes,
More than likely,
yes,
but not every time, right? I mean,
no, no. And they one of the things too is you have to. I'm one of those guys. I don't want to make a change or I don't want to do something unless I understand why I'm doing it.
right,
Not that I have to do it.
right,
For me, charging or pricing parts on a matrix, no one ever explained to me why it needed to be done. They just said you need to have a matrix, and I didn't understand just that what I need to do it. Why do I need to do it? Nobody ever gave me that answer, so I was reluctant to do it. When somebody finally sat me down and said, "This is how it all works," and I looked at him like, "Oh, well, that's remarkably simple. Turn that thing on. We're
right,
going to do it."
right.
But if I don't understand why I'm doing it, I'm not going to do it.
Well, yeah, I mean,
And I think there's a lot of people that way.
yeah, we're all, yeah. Most technicians turn shop owners, or most, I mean, 90% of shop owners out there know how to work on cars.
Hmm.
There's a few that don't, but that mindset I think we have is pretty hard headed. It's pretty, it's
Yeah,
pretty
yeah,
hard to
yeah,
convince us to do anything other than what we know how to do.
yeah. Well, we're analytical. We're think of it. If you think of the business as a machine, uh, we only know certain aspects of it. There's all this we don't know all the strategies going on inside the computer running the business, and so that's what we need to do is learn the strategies.
Yeah.
um,
Peel back a few layers, and I think that's what the
yeah,
group does, gets people to,
yeah,
and they're on their phone. Everyone's on Facebook all the time.
yeah,
So it's that
yeah.
repeated, they keep seeing it, they keep seeing it. All right, what exactly is it they're talking about here? Then you find that
Hmm.
coach and they're talking about the same thing, and then they say, this is actually, like you said, this is the real deep part. This is how you do that. This is what a labor or a parts matrix will do. This is what a labor
Hmm.
matrix will do to achieve that goal.
Hmm.
And without the foundation, I mean, I'm with the institute, and if it wasn't for the free information that Cecil had put out, I probably wouldn't buy into that process either. But
Hmm.
I'm struggling, and I'm trying to figure it out. I'm watching these YouTube videos. I'm watching, listening to his podcasts, and you hear it enough, and you're like, you know what? That sounds like that's probably what I need to do. and then you
Yeah.
then take a little bit of time to let it absorb instead of
Hmm.
just saying you're going to do it tomorrow. Like, no, I need to like think about this for a few days.
Yeah, and that's one of those things that we've done with our mentoring program too. Is sometimes you're looking at the coach and you're going, well, what do you know? You're not really in the industry anymore. But the mastermind program is we're all shop owners currently in the trenches doing it. And when we bring people in, they're like, I can't do that. It won't work in my area. You don't know my customers. You don't know my demographics. You don't know any of this stuff. You know what? You're right. I don't know your customers. I don't know your demographics, but we know what works. Just try this. If it doesn't work, just give it a week. If it doesn't work, just take a step back. You know what? You can always lower your labor rate back to what it was. You can quit, charging a parts matrix. You can change it however you want. You want to go back working 7 days a week? You can. Just give it a week, see what it does. And they go, oh, wow, that wasn't so bad. All right, give it another week. And, make some minor tweaks until you realize, all right, we're not talking crap. This is all legitimate stuff.
Right.
We don't have our secret sauce. This is, no matter where you go, all the coaches, all the training is going to tell you the same stuff. We're just providing it in little bite-sized pieces.
I think that secret sauce and that trying to find instead of looking for golden nuggets, trying to find a silver bullet. I think that's what everyone's looking for. What is
Mm-hmm.
it? What do I do to fix this? What's the
Yeah,
one thing that I do? And there isn't. And it's
there
like,
isn't one thing. No.
and it's like,
No, there's a,
I think learning that I think is more valuable than all the other, nuggets that you can find.
yeah, there's 100 things you need to do to get the one result.
Right. And there's 10 different results that you need.
Yes. Yeah.
And it just keeps going and going and going. You're like,
Yeah.
and you're just waiting for the day. When do I get to the point where I know this stuff? And it's like, you just don't. It's like, I've come to the point now where I just feel like I keep unfolding layers, and then the layers just open into more layers, into more layers. And it's like
Mm-hmm.
marketing. It's like, oh, I should probably start doing some of the marketing. And you really start diving in and holding your marketing company accountable. And you start realizing
Mm-hmm.
as you peel back, the layers, you're like, you guys are dropping the ball. Like, oh man, how long's this been going on? 2 years, 3 years? How much have I spent to get no results? And it's like that's just one aspect. This has nothing to do with running the shop. And I think for me, going from working on the shop floor to becoming the owner, I just thought if I fix cars really, really well, I'd I'd be successful.
Yeah, my business model would have fit on a cocktail napkin with a crayon. Fix cars, make money.
Right.
Um, and that's obviously not the case. And that's one of those things that I guess for your listeners too, because we at the training events, we were just at Vision, ASTE. I'm constantly meeting shop owners that are thinking about going out into ownership, and I'll be honest with you, it's not for everybody. If you think, hey, I'm a great tech, I'm gonna have a successful shop, those are two completely different things.
Yep.
And when you become you're a great tech, and you can practice your field, or practice your art, and you're great at it. Well, now suddenly you're having to do HR and payroll and insurance and deal with customers, and you're the IT specialist, and you're the toilet cleaner and everything else. I mean, I rarely work on cars. I only do it when there's an extreme necessity. Somebody's out, or there's just something that's gone sideways and they need some help. But I mean, I got a great team, but for the most part, I don't work on cars anymore, and I've been out of it for so long. I'm really. I used to be a heck of a tech. I'll call myself a B now at best.
Right.
I had a 2000 Excursion that needed a fuel pump, and I'm like, I'll do it because that's my era of stuff I worked on. Uh, I did a brake job yesterday on a 2009 Audi. By the end of the day, I hurt. A four-wheel brake job kicked my butt. My whole body hurts. You thought I was working in the woods, cutting down trees and stacking logs all day.
Yeah, those muscles
You
don't
know,
work like they used to.
no, they don't. They don't. But then again, you know, I guess I want to say, if you're a good tech, don't think that being a shop owner is the next step.
Yeah, find a good
It,
shop.
find a good shop.
That's the main thing. If you're a good tech, you
I'm
should be paid appropriately because,
yeah.
and it's good to humble yourself and, obviously get out there and remember what it's like to be on the ground
Hmm.
floor a little bit. And then And then that way you can compensate and be like, you know what, you guys are kicking ass out here, like, and take care of them. And I think
Yeah.
that's the problem is a lot of technicians get kind of fed up and they think the only option out. I mean, I did it. Like I thought my only
Mm.
option was to open my own shop. I
Yep.
didn't even think
That
twice
was me
about
too.
looking for another shop. I just
Well,
thought they
I
were all the
did.
same.
I looked at other shops. But I gave up my. I was working at a shop. It was 35 miles away. I'm just outside of Minneapolis. I'm about 45 minutes from Minneapolis. So
Okay.
um, I had a 35-mile drive to Bloomington, which Mall of America is there, give you an idea of the population. Um, I worked in an import shop, but I was the domestic tech. I had handled all the domestics and then all the oddball stuff that the Toyota and Acura or the Toyota and Honda guys didn't handle or the Euro guys didn't handle. So I did Nissans and Hyundais and stuff and all the domestics. And I mean, it was a pretty cushy job. It was, Monday through Friday. I want to say, um, 8 to 4:30, or maybe it was 7:30 to 4. I don't remember exactly. I had 3 lifts, play air conditioned, everything else. The pay was decent, but the owner just wasn't respectful.
Hmm.
He was just disrespectful to his staff, and so I started looking around, and I realized I was at the top of what was available in the area at the time, and every place I looked, I was going to be making less money, working more hours, whatever. And I thought I'll go out on my own because, that seems to be the next option. Well,
Mm-hmm.
guess what? I worked more hours, made less money, had more headaches.
Mm-hmm.
And looking back on it, I was, I reacted too quickly. I could have found a better place to
Yeah, but you just think that's
work.
the natural the natural evolution,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah,
The
it was
cor-
service advisor or owner,
yeah, the
and
corporate ladder, like, well,
yeah.
I need to be at the top, right? This
Hmm.
metaphorical top,
Hmm.
which I think in this day and age is kind of like the wrong way to look at it as well.
Yeah, and I was what 33 years old, 32 years old when I opened my own place. I'm 52 now. 51, just turned 51. God, don't want to age myself faster. Just feels that way. Uh, but um, I don't. Looking back, I think if I would have really looked hard, I might have found that shop that really wanted to take care of people. So that's what I am now. I'm that shop that wants to take care of people.
Right.
So I'm looking for a tech right now, and I've had some people inquire, and they're like, they almost think it's too good to be true. When I tell them what we're paying, and yeah, we have air conditioning, we're fully climate controlled, and that people just they think it's not real. They're like, there's got to be something
Well,
wrong.
they're waiting for the
Like,
butt.
yeah, no, I was a tech that was abused. I don't want that to happen to anybody else, and I took the time to learn how to not abuse my staff.
Yeah.
I wasn't always this way. you know ASOG and all the training at AST and Vision and everything else and coaching, that's all helped me to become a good employer.
Yeah,
uh,
you're striking a chord with me. I mean, that very similar story, and I think similar story to a lot. It's early 30s, and you think you're going to take over the world, and then you well, if he can do it, I can do it. He's not
mhm.
smarter than me. What makes them him or her? What makes them a smarter business person than me? And I'll
I can
just
do it
figure it out. I'll do
faster
it
and
fast. Yeah,
better and
yeah.
cheaper and
All that stuff, that thinks that makes you
mhm,
better, and then you slowly start realizing you don't know what you don't know. That's kind of where
mhm,
my process is. I mean, when you said you never were that nice employer, that was me too. It's like I was always very hard on myself as a technician. So if I was hard on my technicians, they would get better. you
mhm.
know, like
Oh
I
yeah.
was very hard on myself. It was like, well, that's how I push myself to get to this point. So that's what I need to do. And that just built a really, really negative culture. And I had a huge employee turnover. And it's like, you just realize in the last year, 2 years, and with the help of the group and seeing what everybody else is doing, is like, oh, times have changed. You can't
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
can't
I
yell
used
you
I
can't yell at people
yeah.
anymore.
Oh, that was, yeah, I thought yelling was a motivation. I used to call it fire for effect. Even if I wasn't that mad, I would yell and scream just to get attention.
I
But
like that fire
you
for
know
effect. Yeah.
Fire for
I
effect.
like
But
that.
it did
It
what
doesn't
effect
work.
did it do? It drove people away.
Right.
You
Right.
know, I had a tech that was with me for 6 years. He and I used to butt heads all the time. We would fight. I mean, there'd be huge blowups and everything. And he left, and I wasn't surprised. Um, and it took me about 3 years of getting things dialed in and figuring out. And when I asked him if he'd come back, he's like, "I'm not going to come back to what it was before." And I'm like, "No, it's not." And he's been back. He's been back with me since. He's been back 3.5 years.
Wow.
He says it's a completely different environment.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah,
Um,
it's I mean, it starts from the top down, and I hate to
yeah.
use that analogy because it really shouldn't be like a top, right? Or like anyone's above
Yeah.
anybody else. But I mean, realistically, at the end of the day, that's what it is. As you're
Hmm.
trying to lead the rest of the team, yeah, if you're upset all the time and you're disappointed all the
Yeah.
time,
Yeah.
and you think that's the way to motivate people,
I remember walking in on some mornings and they'd be like, "Hey, how's it going today?" I'm here. And I remember somebody one day telling me, I mean, that's a really crappy attitude to, hear from the boss.
yeah,
You know, so then over as time's gone on, when I walk in and I hear somebody say that, I got to stop and I'm going to go, "So what's going on?" And I got to talk to them about it and find out, what's going on in their world. And by the end of that conversation, I think we fixed, 50 things in their world.
yeah.
Um,
How hard is it to get to that mindset to be able to do that? Because a very awkward conversation, you already have to talk yourself into a positive situation, but now you have to one more thing on your list to do, but also it's just kind of awkward, right? Technician
yeah.
walks in, he's not in a great mood, and it's like, do I want to? You're walking on eggshells a little bit, and so how do you handle that? I mean, how does that change for you?
Honestly, it sounds silly, but when when I started paying better and I started making more money, I suddenly went from having this always being this panic, and I started to think myself more as a business leader than just a person that had a job that I came to every
It
day.
was like
I
coworkers
Yeah, it was yeah,
realizing
I
they're
was
working
just
for you, and you're not working with
yeah,
them.
yeah.
Yeah,
Oftentimes they were making more than I was making. Once
right.
I started to charging appropriately, uh, it helped me to realize, okay, I am in charge and I need to lead by example. And um, for years I always said people said, you're a leader, whatever, because what I was a scout leader, I was city councilman, all this stuff. You're your natural born leader. I'm not a leader. I always viewed myself as more of a lieutenant than a general because I I always needed somebody to provide me some input as to what what to do. I needed some guidance. Well, as the general, I don't have any guidance. So I really had to, switch my mindset and realize that the buck stops here. I have to be the boss. I don't like the term boss, but I'm in charge, so I have to start acting like it.
Yeah, you got to put
And
the
if
oxygen mask on first before you put it on everybody else.
yeah, and I have to keep I have to keep these people happy. And the only way they're going to be happy is if I'm happy. Because if I'm miserable, it's gonna trickle down to them,
Yeah.
and they're not going to want to stay.
That's another relatable thing to think of. You get the imposter syndrome,
Oh, big time,
right? And
big
it's
time.
like, and then you're supposed to have the answers, but as as say like as a technician, you have a problem, you look it up. You go on these groups,
Hmm.
you go on YouTube, you go on Google, and you just find somebody else and you just use that kind of template and that example to fix your solution. And a lot of the time, I mean, obviously with the ASOG group, that changes everything. But even before that, or if you're trying to figure it out on your own, you're like, what do I
Hmm.
do? You're supposed to have the answer. And I really look at that internally and I say, I don't expect the technicians to have the answer to a vehicle that has a problem. So why do I expect myself to have these answers to these problems?
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
that's helped me big time. Just to take a step back, like, why am I expecting myself to know something that I've never done before?
Yeah, I had that conversation with my wife. I don't remember. It was on a specific subject. I don't remember what it was. Maybe it's her motorcycle. She bought a brand new bike, and it's had some issues. It's still under warranty, but and she would say it over and over. I should have known. I should have known. I'm like, how would you have should you have known? You bought a brand new motorcycle that had a warranty and it's having these problems. How would you have known it's going to have these issues? You don't have a crystal ball. You didn't take training at the Indian Motorcycle College of Repair.
Yeah.
How would you have known this? Well, I should have. I'm like, you can't say I should have known. There's no way to know that.
Right.
Um, so to say, I should know how to run a business, I had no formal training. I was a I had to do service advising at one shop I worked at part time. They forced me into it. I hated it. I wanted to turn wrenches. I didn't want to be standing at the front counter.
Talking to people.
Yeah, well, I didn't mind the talking to people thing. I just didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
Um, I'm I'll use Lucas Underwood as an example. He's a pretty outgoing guy,
Hmm.
but he's very technically astute. I was one of those guys myself. I was prior to getting into auto repair, I used to build homes. I was on a framing and siding crew, and I did trim, and I could virtually build a whole house. But I specialized more in the framing side of it. And I fell 2 stories in a construction accident, and my leg exploded down when I hit the ground.
Mm.
And they said, you got to get a job that keeps you on the ground. So I got a job as an oil changer and a tow truck driver. But before I found that job, I already, was already working on my own vehicles and stuff. It wasn't a big deal, but I had to go to a rehabilitation consultant, and they were supposed to help me find a new career path. And I took a test, and I can't remember what the name of the test was, but it was a test about your or they tested your mechanical abilities, your interpersonal skills, all these things to try to find the best job for you.
Hmm.
My highest score was mechanical aptitude. My second highest score was interpersonal communication. Typically, when you have a high technical score, you don't have a high interpersonal communication score. The only job that came up with my 2 scores that crossed over was a bus driver. And
That's
they said
interesting.
they had never seen anybody have a score like that, um, because traditionally high technical people are not personable. It's and we see it in our industry. Look
Right.
at
Oh
how
yeah.
many
Oh yeah.
technicians that
Yep.
they go into their bay, they put on their earbuds or whatever, and they work all day. They don't want to talk to anybody. They might talk to their coworkers, but do you want them at the front counter talking to clients? I know a lot of them I wouldn't want to, because they don't have they don't understand social cues. They don't have a filter. Um,
There's a
you know,
lot. There's a lot internal going on, and
yeah,
that's a happy place to be. I know exactly where that place is. I'm sure you can relate
yeah,
to it too.
yeah.
When you're in deep and there's 1,000 things you're thinking about, and you're just that's
Hmm.
it. That's you're in the zone. When you're deep into a repair like that,
Hmm.
it's a nice place to be.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's not. Sometimes you got some things going on. You get yourself a little twisted because you're up in your head a little bit too much. But
Hmm. Yeah.
it's very
Yeah.
hard to have that and then also be an extrovert at the same time and be able to
Yeah.
communicate effectively.
Yes. So that's why for me, they thought I would be great. I did a great job as a service advisor, but I didn't want to do that. I wanted to be turning wrenches. So I didn't pay a lot of attention to that aspect of the business when I was forced to do it. So then when I became a business owner, I had to do it. And boy, did I, well, I thought I was pretty good at it. I was terrible,
Yeah, yeah,
because I was
yeah.
operating from a place of fear. I don't want to lose the job. I don't want to scare them off. I don't want to price it too high. You know, I don't want to, make promises I can't keep. It was terrible.
Well,
So,
and then on the, I guess, the plus side of it, which is still negative, you sell this job and then you have to go do the work.
oh yeah.
You know,
Yeah. I
and
would spend all day doing oil changes and brake jobs, easy stuff during the day, and then go home, have dinner, and come down and work. And, you know, I'd do a, intake on a 3400 GM, after work, so I could be left alone.
yeah,
All the good work, I, you know, I remember doing stuff like that, get home at midnight, whatever, after I cleaned up everything, got all ready for the next day, and be back to work at 7 in the morning.
yep. Yeah,
Work all day, bouncing around.
as a transmission rebuilder, that was my life for a while. There's no way I could build a unit with everyone running around and phones ringing. So yeah, you wait till
Hmm.
the shop shut down, and I'd build it at night. And hopefully I
Hmm.
had all my parts in the box, and if not, it's like great. Now I don't have any work for the guy in the morning to reinstall it.
Yep. Yep.
Just terrible. And it's like, yeah, it's like, and it makes you think, what am I doing right now? This is not like what is shop ownership, And
This is
that's the
not what
question.
I thought it was going to be.
Not at all. I mean, but you're still happy with it because it's yours. So
Hmm.
without that, I mean, for me, without that motivation of knowing I'm building something for myself, I don't know if I would have signed up for that job. And I think
Yeah.
that's a big thing that we hear a lot too. Don't do it. You're not going to want to do it. You're going to hate it. But it's like when it's yours and you're doing it, it's exhilarating, as hard as it is, but at least you're doing it for yourself, which
But it's
helps.
important that you do it right,
Yeah,
because you
that's a
don't
good
want to
point.
do it and fail and lose your home life. Your miss your kids growing up and all that stuff, which I did. I don't know if you ever heard that story about when because I when I opened the shop, my daughter was, I want to say 2, my son was 5, 4 or 5, and so I opened the shop, and I would work 7 days a week. Might only be wrenching 5 6 days, but then the seventh day was cleanup, or trying to get caught up on paperwork and books and advertising and all this stuff, 7 days a week nonstop. And my wife would go out with the kids, and they'd have fun, and they go go to the zoo, and I wouldn't do any of that stuff. And what got me was the one day I got home from work, and I walked into the entryway of the house. I took my boots off, and when I stood up, I looked up the stairs, and the refrigerator was open, and I could see there was a man's legs standing, in there. I could just see his legs under the refrigerator door, and I was like, "Holy crap! My wife's got a boyfriend." I just walked in on him, and then the door closed, and it was my son. He was like 14, 15 years old, and I'm just like, "Holy crap!" He grew up. I missed it. I
Wow.
just totally missed his childhood. And that's when it really hit me that I needed to make a change. So, yeah, that would have probably been about 10 years ago, about the time ASOG started, too, because that was, he's 24 now. So, yeah,
Yeah, you don't.
about
Yeah,
that time.
can't get it back, and I mean that's gotta. I
No,
mean,
yeah. So it was that one, that really, rattled me, and, you know, I got a good relationship with my kids. You know, he still lives at home because he's actually works full time, and he's trying to buy a house. So we said, stay here and save your money, because I mean he's got a huge chunk of money sitting in the bank waiting for just the right place. He'll be able to put money down that I would only dream of being able to put down on a house.
right.
Um, so um,
It,
and I always encourage him, just wait. And my wife was like, "You sounds like you don't want him to leave." I'm like, "Well, no, I want to have that relationship that I didn't have
yeah,
with him for years."
yeah,
And my daughter, she grew up, and she's moved out and everything, and she's happy. I don't get to see her as often, but when we are together, it's quality time.
yeah, and it's important to really, really put your priorities together with that stuff, right? And
Hmm.
realize like, what did I miss that for? And it
Hmm.
just seems so important at the time.
Yeah.
And I mean, it still
Yeah.
does. It still does for me. I'm sure for anyone else out there. This is your life right now. This has to succeed. This has to I have to make it. I can't fail. But what else are you failing at while you're trying to make this
Hmm.
business succeed? And that, I mean,
Yeah.
that's important to think about. It's like
Yeah.
what are you what you're giving something up. You have to be. You
There's
know.
a lot of I don't say wasted time, but there's a lot of time that's used up for not important things.
Right.
You think they're important at the time, but they're not.
Yeah, trying to make that one client happy, trying to do these things, and that's been
Yep.
another one for me too. Is at the very beginning, I was just thinking about this the other day too. at the very beginning, you have these clients come in with unreasonable expectations, and you just go out of your way to make them happy because you're so worried about losing them. And I look back, it's like if that guy came in today, he wouldn't even be allowed in the parking lot, right? Let alone like I would be doing work for him, you know? And I just was
Yes.
like thinking about
Yes.
this. It's like that's crazy how much I bent over backwards for that one individual client or customer, right? And it's like
Mhm.
I wouldn't even let him on the premises right now, like with where we're at. And it's like crazy how important it was to me then versus now. It's like, wow, why was I so worried about that?
Mhm. I remember the very first time I ever fired a customer, and they wouldn't not come back. I told them repeatedly, it's like, it's clear I can't make you happy. So as a result, you need to go somewhere that can make you happy, but this isn't the place. And they still insisted on coming back over and over and over. As I, I was short of trespassing them. I didn't know what I could do.
That's crazy.
Uh, Now, thinking back on it, well, they kept coming to me because I was cheap. That's why they wanted to come to me, because I was cheap. Well, yeah, I priced them right out of the market.
And how's that? And how's that thought process too when you hear these guys, especially on these groups? I'm 3 weeks out. Like everyone, hey, how's everyone doing? Oh man, I'm so busy right now. I'm a month out.
You're
Everybody likes me.
either
I'm the best in the area. That's why people are waiting a month to come see me.
Yeah, no, it's because you're either cheap or highly inefficient. You know, you've got your processes aren't good, or you or you just can't get things done fast enough. I remember one shop owner that, talking about how busy he was all the time, and it ended up being and he kept going through tax, and he didn't understand why. Well, and come to find out, he didn't even have the equipment that they needed to actually run a business. They were doing engines, but they didn't have an engine hoist. So they're dropping engines out the bottom on a pallet,
Wow.
and stuff like that. It was like some of the stuff that, that I was hearing. I'm like, why are you doing it that way? Why don't I can't afford to buy a, engine hoist? How can you
$150 engine
not?
hoist.
Yeah. You know, so how many people have left there because they came in thinking, oh, they're so busy. Well, they're busy because they're not efficient. They don't invest in tools and equipment to to make the business successful.
Yeah. Or the ones that have technicians that just can't seem to get them to be productive or efficient or show up,
Hmm.
right? And I mean, who you like who what are you attracting? You know? Like
Well, they're probably paying a lower wage. They think, well, I can get this guy for $15 an hour instead of paying somebody $25 an hour.
yeah.
I'm going to make more money.
Or you don't
Yeah,
have or you
not
don't have
hardly.
standards, you don't have expectations. So they
Hmm.
can come and go as they please. Oh, you want to take an hour and a half lunch? Sure, that's cool. Oh, you guys want to start drinking beer at 3 o'clock on Friday? Dude, go grab a 12 pack. And
Yeah.
then the next week they're wondering why they're not getting any work done. You know? Well, I got a crew of guys. I don't understand why they don't want to do anything. And it goes back to it's not just the one thing, right? It's not because you
No.
guys are
No.
cracking beers at 3 o'clock on Friday. You know, like if that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do. But it's that compiled with everything else. And I've seen,
Yeah.
I mean, I came from a shop that was like that to start with. I mean, this is a shop I took over, and it was
Mhm.
like there's just so many things that need to change. And some of those
Yeah.
technicians don't want to go on that ride. They don't want that to be
No.
in that shop. Some guys out
No.
there want to be in a shop where they can do what they want, come and go as they please, and they don't want to change that, which is crazy. But
Yeah. I don't. There's a lot of cultural aspects in this and society that I'm not even going to try to understand
yeah,
why things are happening the way they are.
right. Well, I mean the technician shortage, right? The famous words of the
Yeah.
technician shortage. It's like what exactly is happening with that? Is and who is it that is being shorted, right? And how is there so many shops and so many cars that are still on the road if we have a shortage of technicians? Like is there a huge graveyard of cars that are like that that aren't being fixed right now?
Only these guys that are a month out.
Right.
You know.
Exactly.
But that actually, that goes back to what I was saying earlier about techs that decide that they want to, be their own owner. Um, I'll say, let's say, you're the bang up A tech. Every shop in the area wants you, but you decide you're going to go out on your own, right? You've been able to produce, for the companies you've been working for, and everyone is great. You go on your own, and now you're only producing maybe 50% of what you were doing before, because the other half of the time you're having to do administrative stuff. Eventually, you phase yourself out of the shop, and you're at running the front desk or whatever, and you're disappointed because the guys you hired can't do the same amount of work that you were doing. That's a detriment to our industry. Um, and that's what I was talking about. If you love being a tech, be a tech. Don't be an owner and think that you're
Oh, you
that
yeah,
you're.
you nailed it there. I mean, that's exactly the evolution of what happens.
And
Um,
then the industry ends up short of the great qualified technicians, because they are now sitting on the desk, and um, it we're kind of destroying a portion of our good quality people.
right, right,
Or-
and I mean, and it like circles all the way back around because then that shop is not being ran well because it's a technician that's a business owner is not treating his technicians correctly. So then those technicians go and try to open their own shop, and it just keeps
yeah,
like going
yeah,
around and around.
yeah. They're doing side work because they're not making any money, because he's not paying them enough, because he's not they're not making enough money for him,
Yep,
because they don't have the training that he had. He just expects that they know what he knows.
yep. And then all those
Yeah,
technicians want to go out on their own and open a
yep,
shop and repeat, rinse and repeat, and rinse and repeat. And then they start going, and then unfortunately, some of them go out of business,
yep,
and then they get out of the industry altogether.
yep.
And
Circling the drain.
yep, it's a
Yep,
sad state of affairs like that, and
yep,
a lot of it comes down to training. I mean,
hmm,
going to Vision, going to AST,
yep,
going like taking yourself and taking the week off and realizing that it's not all going to crash and burn and going even just getting on a Facebook group. I got guys that aren't even on face like you're not even on Facebook. Like, oh, I don't want to be part of that kind of stuff. It's like it's not what it's not that's not
well,
what it is.
yeah, as a business owner, I have a hard time because I'm unfamiliar with some of the social media platforms. Facebook, I think I got it down pretty good, but some of the TikTok and Instagram and all stuff, I probably should be doing some of that to grow the business, but I'm reluctant because I'm unfamiliar with it.
Yeah.
But the other stuff, we bring shop owners into our mastermind, and we're like, you have a website? No, I don't need a website. I get by with word of mouth. What about a Facebook page? No, I don't necessarily like Facebook. I don't want to use it. Well, it's not about you. It's about the populace,
Mhm.
your potential clients. That's what it's there for. You don't have to sit and play Candy Crush or whatever. You don't have to spend all your time on your phone being.
Arguing with people in senseless conversation.
No, you don't have to.
Right.
But you know, but you do need to reach the masses.
Mhm. For
And if
free.
you think,
For free.
yeah, for free, yeah,
It's
yeah,
free.
word of mouth only goes so far.
Yes.
Um, and if like I said, I'm on the city council. Our city still does not have a social media presence. Um, I have been pushing for it for years, but the remainder of the council, and the administration, they they don't have a social media or a very strong social media presence. The mayor has nothing. City administrator has his own personal page. That's it. Um, it hasn't been a priority for them. But I hear people all the time saying, "I wish the city had a way to communicate with us better than our clunky website." Um, I finally got the push to go through that. Our police department finally had a Facebook page, so they can post stuff about lost dogs, that they've recovered and stuff like that. And people like that.
Mhm.
But it took, it took 10 years for that to happen. And the reason why the chief said, I don't like Facebook. It doesn't matter what you like. It's what the community that you are.
give the
serving. That's
people
what
what
they
they want.
want.
Give the people what they want.
Yeah.
It's a slippery.
Just because you
It's
don't
a
like it,
slippery
tough.
slope, though. I mean, you gotta.
Yeah.
I mean, it's.
But you don't have to have a conversation about everything. You
Yeah.
can use social media as a tool. Like, we the police department has their page, and they post stuff, and there's no commenting or anything like that. They don't. It's not always a rah rah thing. It's business. Hey, there's the winter parking. No parking on the streets until the snow plows have gone through, or whatever. They can use it for that.
Right.
It doesn't have to be
And they don't have to spend
um
money putting banners out. I mean, it's free. It's
yeah,
a free
yeah,
marketing
yeah.
thing, and once you get it rolling, you just post what you got to post, get your word out there, and that's it.
And people will share it organically.
Right. I mean,
That's what.
it is the new word of mouth. I mean,
Yeah,
most people are pretty antisocial now anyway.
yeah.
So,
Especially in the middle of winter when they're
yeah.
we'll go months without seeing our neighbors.
Right.
I'm in Minnesota, so, and this year is totally different. I mean, it's we've had one plowable snow, but normally uh, we won't see our neighbors from about November to March.
Yeah.
Unless they're out snow blowing the driveway, you wave at them and that's it. Otherwise, we don't see anybody.
I mean, and on that of like marketing and like it also shows you the holes of what you're missing,
Mhm.
and a lot of the time you try to market for something that you think everybody wants instead of just going with the flow of like what's coming into the shop, and it's nice
Mhm.
to see what everybody else is doing and kind of the state of the industry in a sense. Are you gonna go buy an ADAS machine? Are you gonna go get involved in EV? Like, and it's just good to know what everyone else is talking about, in the industry. Are you gonna sit there
Yep.
on the phone and call all these other shop owners across the country and say, hey, did you guys do ADAS yet? Is that a thing? Should I invest? It's like you can just be on Facebook for 20 minutes a day and get all those answers pretty quickly.
Yep. Yeah.
So
No,
it
the one nice thing too is through the networking, if you do find something that you're looking at, I'll say, for example, we were looking at CRMs. We currently are using one, and we're kicking around switching just because we've been running into some issues, and so we demoed a couple of them, and we got uh, list of or not a list, but we during the demos they showed us examples of who they're using. I'm like, oh, I know that guy, and I know that guy. So then what do? I call them up and I go, all right, I sat through the sales presentation. Now give me the good and the bad and the
yeah.
dirty. I want to know.
Tell me, Enright. What do you
And
think, Enright?
so I'll use the whoever is that using that platform to pick their brain on it.
Oh yeah, and
Um,
on that note, I mean, you can find some of the leaders of the industries that are on some of these groups. I mean, for
mhm,
rebuilding transmissions, Jim Mobley from Sonics and Robert from
yep,
Transgo, like lead
yep,
these guys that are lead in the technical service department.
hmm
You can send them a message, and it's like I remember 8 years ago waiting on hold on these technical helpline for an hour to just ask
hmm
them one question about the shift kit they sent me or whatever it is. That it's like
hmm
these guys are just online on Facebook all day long, ready to answer your questions. It's like, how cool is that?
yeah,
It's like
yeah,
it's an
yeah,
invaluable resource.
yeah. My like I said, I got a really good team, but every now and then, I'd have a tech that would get hung up on something. I remember, was it 2 years ago? I had a tech, he got hung up on something, and I was providing him some ideas, and he just kept poo pooing them. Just didn't really think what I was telling him was relevant or whatever. I don't even remember what it was. I was kind of
Yeah,
impressed that,
you're lying to him. There's no way you
yeah,
give him the right answer,
I,
right?
I was impressed that I knew what I did, because I've been kind of been out of it for a while. And finally I said, let me make a call. And I don't remember who it was. Might have been Brandon Dills. I don't remember. Maybe it was, Tanner Markham. I can't remember who it was. I called and I said, here's what's going on. I've got this problem, and I ran down or the text got this issue, ran down the list. Here's a test we did. This is what we found, whatever. And they rattled off like, three possibilities on how to check them. Well, one of them was the one that I had given. And I'm like, all right, you know, appreciate it. We'll let you know. So tech goes out and he does the three different things that he's told to do. And it ends up being the one that I was right about. And he came up and he said, "I'm glad you called because it was this." And I
Oh,
looked at him.
huh.
I didn't even say it. I'm like, "All right, fine. You know what? Don't listen to me." But I didn't want to say that's what I said. But I just went, "I'm glad I was able to have the resource, you know,
Like it's like I've
for
done
you."
this before. It's almost like I might know what I'm talking about,
I might. I
but
might. Usually not.
usually not. But every once in a while,
Yeah. Even a
eh,
blind squirrel finds a nut once in a while. So,
fair
but
point.
yeah, no, the networking um, is absolutely astounding. My one tech, my C tech, she went to school um, to Votech during COVID. She started the class, started that year at the school, and then they locked it down. And it was all virtual after that, so very little hands-on, which I felt, is terrible. How do you teach this industry completely from a computer screen? Um, but anyhow, so she did that, and I got back from ASTE. I want to say 2 years ago, and we were talking. We were everywhere as at lunch. We were talking about something, and I said that I'd had lunch with Paul Danner, and we were going over some stuff. Um, and she said, "Paul Danner, like Scanner Danner?" I'm like, "Yeah." She goes, "When I was in school, they told us we got to watch all his videos and everything else, because he's awesome, and and I've watched all of his videos, and I can't believe how useful all that is."
Hmm.
Like, yeah. She goes, "So you know Paul Danner?" I'm like, "Yeah, I know Paul." And she's like, "You are a big deal."
That's all it took, huh?
Yeah, yeah, it's all it took. So she just, oh,
You're that Paul. You're a big deal, man. He's a
yeah. I,
celebrity.
I I told him that I told him that story, and he's just like, "Well, that's awesome." And now I'm getting a big head.
It reminds me of back in COVID when I was doing a jujitsu training, and we weren't obviously at that time allowed to go, so they had
Mhm,
jujitsu Zoom classes. So we were continuing our training through Zoom, and people were
mhm,
getting because they get you get a belt and you get stripes, right? So you get stripes and you get
mhm.
promoted like belt. So people were getting belt promotions and stripe promotions through this Zoom jiu-jitsu training. And I'm like, okay, you lost me here. This is not
Yeah.
I'm like grappling with myself in the living room. I
It,
don't
it,
this is
yeah.
weird.
That was almost participation trophies right
Yeah,
there.
it absolutely was. I
Yeah,
mean, obviously, it was a
yeah.
revenue generator. Like they were trying to find a way to continue. So I just continued my membership. I was like, but I'm not going to do the classes. I'm sorry, I just can't do.
Yeah, yeah.
You can't take a hands-on, martial art and try to teach it through a video screen. It's just
Hmm.
w- we lost that one. We're not going to do that.
Yeah. I do not want the neurosurgeon working on my brain that has never touched a brain.
Yeah, no, no,
Yeah.
definitely. Well, someone's got to be the first person, but it's not going to be me. Sorry, I don't want to do that.
Yeah. So, but yeah, you had actually, originally you'd asked about, vision and
Yeah.
what, yeah, we had a great time. We went out there. Um, I've been attending Vision for a number of years. Haven't always brought the whole shop, but I brought the whole shop again this year. Um, and
How
we
many
had
techs and service advisors?
Well, I brought one. We're a small shop, so I brought my service manager, service advisor, and my two techs. I'm short a tech right now, so normally I have three techs, and myself. So there was just four of us this time around. Normally it would be five. So um, we we're only a 6 hour drive away, so we pile in one of the loaner vans and head down 35 to Kansas City and rent a Airbnb. It's cheaper than renting hotels for everybody,
Yeah.
um, and just a little more comfortable as long as we have a car. It's only a 10-minute drive from the house to the event center, and everybody said that the classes were awesome. There was there was never a bad class. There was some that maybe uh, didn't quite line up with how they were titled, or little more in depth on something, a little more in depth. I took a class on accounting, and it was more of an accounting class, which was over my head. Uh, so
like a
you know,
CPA kind of accounting class. Huh?
it was, yeah,
Yeah.
it was a little more in depth than what I had expected. Um,
Well,
so,
that's a good thing
but
though.
yeah, it's an eye opener to realize how little I know.
Yeah. I mean, I have that problem with some of the training classes that I go to. I'm not good at picking them. And then obviously at first I want to do all the uh technical or all the technician training classes, and I
Hmm.
realized I
Hmm.
these are not the classes I need to be in, but they're more interesting. They're way more interesting. And then
Yeah,
a lot of the owner leadership classes I go to really turn into kind of a sales pitch for their brand or their
coaching
coaching
company,
company, and
or
it's like,
yeah.
"Oh, really? I just spent money and my time here. I have 3
Yeah.
days and 3 hours out of one day I'm sitting here in a sales presentation." So, those are the ones I get up and walk out of. Like I can't
Yeah.
stand those.
Yeah.
And so I
Yeah.
hate when it's surface level stuff, and I love when you get to the ones where it's like, "Oh, finally, stuff that I haven't heard 100 times already."
Hmm. Well, and sometimes it's I will admit it's good to hear something over and over,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
to realize that you are actually how the importance of it.
Yeah, that's true.
Um, I know my advisor manager. She was one of her issues was to sit in one class and they would talk about how you handle this situation, and then go to the next training, and the presenter in that class is a completely 180-degree difference
Mhm.
on you know they'll say, a shop, for example, we don't give any prices over the phone, even for menu pricing. We don't give anything at all. You get it, you got to get them in the door, just tell them bring it on in, we'll take care of it. And then you get the next
Yeah,
presenter and says,
we know
well,
who that one is.
yeah, and the next one we'll do a, menu pricing is this, and and the next one is, they're very specific about when they're going to bring it in and that there's going to be a charge. There's three different opinions on handling it all, the exact same phone call.
Yeah.
So it's not,
Yeah.
but as Kim Walker with Shop Marketing Pro
Mhm.
said, um, you know what, you it's all a salad, just don't eat the broccoli. You choose what you like, what you want. Because if everybody did the exact same thing, we might as well just be one big corporate environment, and it's all going to be done the same, 50 states wide, and at every shop.
Yeah,
If
there's
there was only
there's
one way to do it,
there's an ass for every seat, right? I mean, that's why there's so
yeah,
many different colors of vehicles, and they're not all,
yeah,
one color. But yeah, there's shops that want that cheap oil change menu price, knock out 40 cars a day, and then I don't want that.
no,
I want my HPRO to be like, I want $1,200-$1,300 ARO. I want to spend as much time with each client as I can. You know, and that
mhm,
involves going through the vehicle and identifying as many things as it needs, and then presenting that and saying, this is what we need to do. Your vehicle is going to
mhm,
be here for the next 2 days. That's an ideal situation for me. That's nice. It slows everything down. It gives us the opportunity to really work through the vehicle and capture as much as we can, and then I don't have to see that vehicle for a year.
mhm,
Hopefully,
yeah,
take
yeah,
it to Walmart for oil changes. See, now
mhm,
that's where I have a problem, because a lot of people say I'm missing opportunity because they're going to another shop for an oil change, and maybe they're going to steal that client and I'm going to lose the opportunity. Like, okay, maybe you're
mhm,
right. So that's why it's important to see both sides of that story, because it's like, you know what, maybe you are right. Maybe I do need to work on putting a menu pricing together for oil changes and start thinking about doing that, because they are going somewhere else, and there is that possibility that they're being sold something else somewhere else, and I'm losing that client now. So it's like I can't just focus on one tactic, look at them all, and then start piecing together to make one pie, one
yeah,
salad.
yeah. When you said that, that's one of the things we, when COVID hit, we were having a hard time getting oil filters. Um, the We were using the CarQuest red ones. We were kind of competing on price for oil changes with other shops. Doing synthetic blend oil changes, whatever. It was okay, but it wasn't great. Um, but then one day I had the epiphany. I don't know where it came from. I don't. I have great pride in this one. I said, They can't ever get us the cheap oil filters, but they're substituting it with the premium ones. So why don't we start using the premium oil filters? We'll charge a little bit more for them, and then we don't have a problem getting synthetic oil because the synthetic blend was getting hard to come by, but the full synthetic, we were able to get that, no problem. Said we could double the oil service interval, use fewer appointments, everything else. We figured it all out. It ends up being a cost savings for the client to go to full synthetic, double the interval, and we're making money on it. And so that's what we did. And at first it was, oh, God, we're going to be losing people, but we didn't. I think we had 2 clients that said, no, I don't want full synthetic. Okay, whatever. And we've had 2 people that have said, called up and they didn't want full synthetic. Fine. Other than that, we don't have any issues with it. And we've been doing it now for several years, and we see fewer cars, so we're not rushing them through, but we're making more money on them when they are in, and we have enough time to look them over and give them a fair evaluation, and
And it's a better
build build those
product.
tickets.
Yeah, better
Yeah,
product,
absolutely,
and they
absolutely.
don't have to spend the time coming in so frequently.
Yeah,
It's yeah,
yeah. We tell them it saves them, you know, an hour appointment that they, with dropping it off and all that running around. They come in half as often, and they're getting they got a better product. And you got a better oil, better filter, all that stuff. And in modern cars with all the timing chain issues and
right.
cam phasers and all that stuff, why are we trying to put cheap oil in this
Just to
stuff?
save $10.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's not worth it.
And then those
We
people that want to save the $10, you know what? Go to Walmart because they'll
Yep.
probably smoke your engine anyway. So you're gonna get a new
Yeah,
engine in the next
yeah,
couple of years.
yeah. Call
So
call us when they blow it up because their insurance will pay us.
perfect. Everybody wins
Yeah,
there,
I
huh?
like that. Yeah,
So on final notes here, I always like to ask,
yeah.
you've been obviously a frequent of trade shows. So when it comes to vision, I've never been, and so what would be some of things to prepare for, or what would be like a piece of advice you'd give for someone going to vision for the first time?
Hmm. One of the most important things is we call it the hallway learning. Talking to people outside of class, um, and talk to talk to um, the famous people, I guess, if you will. I don't want to say that the influencers,
Yeah,
whatever. If
the infamous people.
the infamous, yes. You're going to find they're amazingly friendly. They're super knowledgeable, and through that networking, you're going to find so many other people that are all trying to do the same thing, and your your toolbox of information is going to be way bigger than you ever thought it could be. Um, there's times I go to these shows, and I don't even attend a single class. I go for the networking,
Absolutely. Yep.
and I pull more out of the networking side than I do out of the class in many cases.
Most times,
Um,
right?
yeah, well, and part of that too was we would do the ASOG scholarship. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but
Mm-hmm.
we would
Yep.
uh, we would take a struggling shop owner, and we would fly them into the event and put them up in a hotel and all that stuff. And my job during that time is I call it the experience coordinator, because I make sure that they get from the hotel uh, to the training, make sure they get everything they need, meals. There's dinners and events that they have to get to. That's my job, to make sure that everybody gets where they need to go. Yeah, as a result, it makes it difficult for me to attend class when I'm having to keep the Cub Scouts going around.
Right. Right.
So
Right.
I do still get I do still get the networking. The trade shows are huge, because you get to see some of the really cool technology that's come out. Even if you're not in the market to, you know, if you're a tech and you're not a shop owner, you probably don't have a lot of say and, alignment racks and this and that. But it's cool when you find, hey, here's a great idea. This alignment rack company, they have LED light strips that are mounted under the rack that are hardwired in. You can retrofit this to fit our rack, and then you don't have to worry about lighting. You can have hardwired LED lights, and it lights up underneath the alignment rack.
And it's not
Great
2000. It's
idea.
not $2,000.
Yeah, exactly. We can go on Amazon and buy the stuff we need to build it. But I had never thought of that, and when I saw it, I'm like, that was slick. You know, there's lots of great ideas out there, but you got to be willing to just go out and be willing to absorb it.
Yeah, get out there and see what's there, and
Yeah.
not overdo it. I always overdo it on all these damn trade shows. I'll sit there for the month before and like look through all the classes and research the instructors, and I'm like,
Hmm.
okay, so
Hmm.
that one's 2 hours, and then 30 minutes after that one, 3 miles on the other side of the convention center. This class, I'm gonna do that one. My first year in SEMA was that. I tried to do classes in SEMA and Apex simultaneously.
Mm,
And I'm like trying to
yeah.
figure out how long is it going to take me to walk from the convention center back to the Venetian. It's like I had it
Sure.
all mapped
Sure.
out. I'm like, oh, this will work great. And once you're there, nope, that was the biggest
Yeah.
mistake I ever made in
Yeah.
my life.
Yeah, absolutely. So, like, I'll use Vision and ASTE, or now it's the ASTA Expo, as an example. They do a really good job with scheduling that. That uh, they're in relatively close by location. So, Vision, they got the convention center, and then they use some area. They use other hotels in the area, so they make sure that you have enough time.
Yeah.
Those are going to be, if it's going to be off-site, it might be a half a day or a whole day, um, so you're not having to scramble to get to where you need to go.
Yeah. But
Uh,
I think on your point, try to network and just walk up to people. Have one. You got to do at least one class a day. For one, it
mhm.
helps to fund the project. Like
Oh,
if
absolutely.
nothing else, like you need to spend a little money there. Like you're there,
Hmm.
sure, it was expensive, but if you want it there next year, you need to at least sign up for one class, at least one a day would be great, right? But
Hmm.
I think overdoing it is a big problem that most people do too, because then you're trying to rush to class to class to class. Before you know it, 3 days is over and you're going back and you haven't met anybody, and that's the most important part of it.
Yeah. Yeah. All my staff said that, they love the networking. Um, my manager, she was in a class having a conversation um, with somebody about dealing with price shoppers, and the woman sitting next to her said, "Oh yeah, we have pre-printed scripts that we work off of for that. Give me your email. I'll email them to you."
Mind blown.
Yeah,
That
that
easy.
that's some that's
That
something
easy.
we've been trying to develop a script, or some policies on doing that. We have our plan, but we don't have it broken down, to the points we need to make in that.
Right.
So, and it didn't cost us. Well, I mean, it cost whatever the travel was, but that conversation didn't cost anything. But that could drastically change the face of how we do
Oh
things.
yeah, or at least it starts pointing the ship in the right direction of what you've been trying to do. I
Exactly.
mean, that's
Yep.
yeah. Well, speaking
Yeah.
of seminars, you're going to Mars.
I am not. Only got so much time right now.
Yeah, that's fair.
I got a lot of things going on right now, and I'm having to kind of prioritize stuff.
That's
And
you can't go to all of them.
no, no, and
You can't catch them all. That's for damn sure.
I've got scheduling conflicts, and it's amazing I can get as much done as I do.
Well, I appreciate you
But
everything you do, and thanks for coming
well,
on again.
thank you.
Yep.
You bet. I appreciate it.